Welcome into Let Her Shoot, episode 4. Made it through 4 whole episodes. Well, we've made it through 3. Let's see if we make it through 3.
Yeah, Let Her Shoot, a women's sports pod. Just in case you were wondering what the Let Her Shoot meant. Let her shoot baskets, let her shoot goals, let her shoot guns, let her shoot golf balls. I don't care. I mean, if you want to shoot guns, I don't care. As long as she's responsible, let her shoot responsibly. Let Her Shoot, sponsored by the NRA.
Let's not do that. Let's definitely not do that. How about that?
You'd take the NRA's money if it was Let Her Shoot responsibly. Tell me, if they said, we'll give you $5 million to be sponsored by the NRA, and you had to say, welcome to Let Her Shoot responsibly?
No, I don't think so. Not if it was presented by the NRA.
No, it would just say, and it'd be like
a really like tiny little letters and like an AR-15 in the corner. Absolutely not. No.
No, this is brilliant. And then we would have the highlights, and it would be like they shooting, made you look, and it'd be like the Let Her Shoot segment sponsored by NRA in terms of who's really shooting well. We've got a lot of.
Constantly.
We're gonna talk about the Chevron later, and they were not shooting responsibly.
They were not
Chevron.
shooting responsibly.
No, they were chunking responsibly. That's like when you have a gun and then you try to shoot it and it jams. That was what our girl did when she had the wedge in the hand and she chunked.
I think we'll have to talk offline about that because I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be a thing for me. But, to each their own, I guess I'd say.
Why don't we just go in rapid fire and talk about the news? The rapid fire segment, sponsored by the AR.
You're killing me. I feel like we need to make a statement for the fact that, like...
Actually, I'm not pro-guns. I'm not pro-guns.
Yeah, like, I feel like we just need to specify that. Like, I don't
know if you can tell in my tone, but I'm totally around, okay? Like, I really was just thinking about ways to empower women with shooting all kinds of balls, and then the guns just kind of came out. So what about skeet shooting? Maybe I meant skeet shooting. Let her skeet. Skeet, skeet, skeet. This is going to be a delicious intro. Come on, can we get into the headlines? You're really setting us back.
I'm setting us back. You just said... let her skeet, and then proceeded to say, I'm setting us back. But
you're distracting us. Can we get to these topics?
Yeah, let's get to these topics. So, quick headlines across women's sports. So, the London Marathon, which, to be fair, I didn't know much anything about this, but I don't want to butcher her name. But from what I heard through the announcers was Tigst Sefa?
Sounds right.
Of Ethiopia. Okay, so she's from Ethiopia. She won silver at this event in Paris. Well, she won silver in Paris, not this exact event, obviously, but she set the fastest ever women's only marathon record time of 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 50 seconds. Not the world record, but...
2 hours and 16 minutes was what we'll call it. Is fucking fast for 26 miles.
I have the fastest I've ever gone 20.
Is not at all. Is in a car. Is in a car. I've never done 26 miles either. I've done 15. What's the longest you've ever run in your life in one spot, like one sitting? This is gonna be a very telling.
You remember those miles that they used to make you run as a kid?
Yeah, like the presidential award or whatever they would make you do.
The presidential challenge.
So you've never run longer than 1 mile?
Well, I'm sure I have. I just couldn't tell you what it was. First of all, I'm not a runner. I tore an ACL. It pops when I walk now. So now I don't run. Now I bike or do treadmill walk. I do the whatever the like incline 30.
Yep.
Whatever that thing is.
Yeah, the incline. Yep.
I did that.
On the treadmill.
Yeah, that.
Nice.
No. There's like a system. It's like 30, 12, 10, or I don't remember what the...
Cool. So let's talk about another topic that I know very little about. The UWCL final.
The UWCL, yeah. I don't know a ton about it either. We're just rolling the headlines we don't know a ton about section.
Yeah, we have to give these ladies their shine even if it's not the sports that we always watch. And listen, these headlines might get me into watching.
I think that there is a world of gatekeeping in terms of like women's sports, that if you're not an expert on this sport,
So don't talk about it. Just stay in your
So
kitchen.
don't talk about it. You just stay in your lane, stay in your kitchen. And I don't think that that's a way to grow women's sports. So I think we butcher names, we learn about them. People tell us that we're wrong. Then next time we know better.
I like it. So, okay. So what happened?
Are you going to leave those glasses on the whole episode?
I can take them off. I was just laughing so hard about my NRA segment idea that I needed my eyes to calm down a little bit.
The light was kind of reflecting back at me.
Got it. It was like a seizure trigger.
Yeah. A Caesar?
Yeah. See?
Like the salad?
Anyway, back to Barca versus Arsenal.
So Barca Arsenal, this is Arsenal's first UWCL final since 2007, coming back from a 2-1 in game 1 against Lyon to win 4-1, 6-3. I don't understand this.
So and then Barca beat Chelsea twice, 4-1, 4-1, which is an 8-2 aggregate.
Got it.
Now you know. Now you know.
Now I know. Now I didn't know. So even if Chelsea had won the second game, they would have had to beat.
It's the aggregate score that matters more. Yeah. I think the only thing that matters is the aggregate. So you could get smoked. You get smoked 4-0, and then you could win 6-0 in the next match, and you would win.
Right, but if you won 2-1, you'd lose.
Then you would not. Yep, you would lose. Exactly.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. All right. So
it's kind of fun actually, because then you know, hey, like I really need to step it up the second match. Can I be dumb for a second? At first, I'm just gonna. Can I be vulnerable?
Did you not know that Barca was Barcelona?
Why would you say that? That wasn't what I was gonna say.
Okay. What were you gonna say?
Can I be vulnerable without you just deciding what I'm wrong or dumb or naive about? I was like, what's the UWCL? And I was like, oh, that's the Champions League. I know the Champions League. Pfft. I just don't hear anybody calling it the UWCL. It's kind of
no.
Nerd alert.
Champions League final.
Yeah, Champions League final.
I don't
know
really
about that.
think I hear much of maybe people do, but I think it's always pretty much shortened to Champions League.
Yeah,
Men's
even
and
in the
women's.
men's side. Well, exciting stuff for Barca, Barcelona, and Arsenal. Let's move forward. What's up next on our list?
So Bethune returned for the Washington Spirit in the most. It was a bad game. I'm not going to lie to you. I watched that game. It was a curb stomping, is what it was. A complete curb stomping on Washington.
You know what was crazy, though, is that they, knew that they didn't have it that day. They were like, yeah, because they played...
I didn't know.
Gotham. They played Gotham FC, right? And Croy Bethune's coming back. It's all exciting. And this team, I think, kind of overlooked Gotham. They're like, we don't really need to do much. And then they got destroyed. Yeah. And they even said it. I was reading the Post, because, I'm an intellectual, and the quotes were like, yeah, we kind of overlooked them a little bit. We didn't think they had it like that. So did you see that it was Lesbian Visibility Day the other day? And they, I don't know if you saw that Ashlyn Harris, who probably everybody knows Ashlyn Harris anyway. Ashlyn Harris and Sophia Bush did a photo shoot, and then Ashlyn Harris posted on Instagram this long diatribe about it. Did you see it?
Yeah, I did. I saw it because there is never a time that Ashlyn Harris will, if there's an opportunity for Ashlyn Harris to get preachy, she's going to get preachy. That's what she's going to do.
Can I read it for our viewers?
Yeah, you can read it.
All right, so Ashlyn Harris, 24, which, by the way, is the sign that you were not famous when you made your Instagram. Nobody knew who the you were. Anytime there's a number after your name, when you make your handle on any social media, you were not thinking you were going to be famous when you made that Instagram. Because nobody does that.
It was her number. It was her number.
It'd be like if I was Trista Crick
10. To be
10.
fair, you didn't have a number.
I have a number. I played basketball. I was 10.
Okay, but I'm saying
I was not
Alex
in the
Morgan
WNBA.
was AM 13. There was but it's a thing. I'm just saying it's a thing in soccer.
Okay,
to be known by your number.
Anyway, well, it's dumb. Anyway, so she puts Ashlyn Harris 24 puts a photo. Here it is. I'll put it right here so you can see it. You can put the B-roll right there. We're not here. First of all, there's these Queen of Mary stones on her lapel and ivory from an elephant and probably this Swarovski necklace. Anyway, and Sophia Bush has got her hand wrapped around the neck, which is just such an odd place to hold somebody right on the trap. Anyway, it says, we're not here to be palatable. We're not here to shrink. We're here to take up space. In every room, on every stage, in every story, our love is radical. Our joy is rebellion. Our existence unstoppable. Today, on Lesbian Visibility Day, we don't just ask to be seen. We dare you to look. So there's 44,000 likes on it. So that means there's a lot of views on this. And you might say to yourself,
a lot of Sophia Bush fans out there.
well, and just people interested in them, right? And there's 1,000 shares. I am one of those shares. If there was, I am one of those shares. Anyway, if you wonder, Trista, why are there only 15 comments and they're all positive? Well, comments are still limited to all of Ashlyn Harris's posts.
It's been over a year. And listen, here's sort of my viewpoint on it. Like, if y'all want to go be happy, then like just go and do it. It's been a year. Like, just, you know what? You did what you did. You did what you did, and you're not going to get the love from the fans back. And so bullying it into them is it's not gonna do it. I don't know why. She's like, we're here, we're queer. And it's like, yeah, we know. That's the problem. Like, you're here. That's the issue.
Our love is radical. Our joy is rebellion. Your love.
The only thing radical about your love is that you did it while you were married. Like, that's the issue here.
Let's be honest. I don't know if I want to say this, but I'm just going to say Sophia Bush ending up in a full-blown relationship with Ashlyn Harris after she was married to a whole man. Because the People magazine really did try to finesse us societally into being like, their love story is so cute. Because I remember exactly where I read it. I was in my backyard. I don't know why I had it or why I read it. Maybe I saw something on Instagram and I clicked on it. Anyway, so I'm sitting outside, beautiful day, and I'm reading this, and it's all about how they met each other through mutual friends in a support group setting, and that they were both going through issues with their other spouses, and how
they met.
I know, hold on. I'm just going to tell you what People magazine said. I'm just telling you
I know.
what People magazine said. So they basically were like, oh, well, Sophia was already divorcing her husband, and Ashlyn had already divorced her wife, and had already gone through that process and was just like a little baby bird help shepherding, like, here's Sophia. And in her hands, she was just nursing her back to life. And in that nursing, Sophia Bush was like, you know what? I'd be down. That's kind of how she made it sound. She was like, I didn't become a lesbian. It was something along those lines. Don't quote me. But it was like, I just fell in love with Ashlyn. We just fell in love with each other because we were both going through hard times, and she had gone through it before, and my friends knew that, and so they just introduced us for that. Modern day Romeo and Juliet.
And the real story is that they've known each other for years. Sophia commented on the photos of their wedding Sophia owns part of a soccer team, or owned, I don't know if she still does or not.
But maybe they were just acquaintances at that point. Like, oh,
maybe,
so nice.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's possible. But we all really know that what happened was they were at Cannes together.
I think there's no S in can. I mean, there is. Yeah, it's can.
Can.
I mean, their S is there, but it's not there. You know what I mean? Like lasagna and she. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened is Ashlyn went to Cannes with Sue Bird. Something went down. We don't know. And she came home and asked for a divorce. That's what we know based on the other side of the story.
All of the comments are like, my loves, love you too, absolutely gorgeous, love you both madly. And it's like, clearly she's only allowing certain people to comment on that.
She'll always have it that way. Do you remember? Probably, yeah, definitely forever. Do you remember when they first got together and she took mother out of her bio?
No, I don't remember that.
She had in her Instagram bio wife and mother, and she deleted mother.
But she didn't delete wife?
No, she deleted wife, and then she tried to go back and added in subtly that she was a mother again, and everyone was like, God, it's so bad. I just don't know what she's doing, but...
So the thing is, too, and I know we probably shouldn't say this on wax because, you only really tell each other this in person, and I think maybe this will do well on TikTok, so maybe this is why I'm actually voicing this true opinion, is, the truth is, if they didn't meet the way that they met, they'd be pretty adorable and love couple.
There's
really
times...
do seem into each other.
Yeah, there's times that I see them that I'm like, oh,
And then you're like, no, you guys are
I
gross.
can't think
Ew.
that.
Yeah, no, toxic. And
But I want to think they're cute. I really do, because I think we need more adorable LGBT, queer, lesbian, gay, whatever word you want to use, love stories out there. And I want them to have one.
And her and Allie were like the poster child for
They
sports
were.
power couple. And for that to come crashing down the way that it did, and for her to break Allie's heart. But also, I had to tell my mom all the lore, because I was like, I saw it when I sent it to you, and I was like, ugh, her comments are limited. And my mom was like, what? And I was like, okay, before I tell you, I have to like tell you why this is funny. And so I told her the whole story, and she's like, oh, no, Ellie, no. And I'm like, yes, exactly. And then she she went on a podcast with a friend of show, Carrie Champion, and then she basically was like, oh yeah, our bedroom was dead, and so like I had to find love and warmth in other places. She just went cold on me, and everybody was like, or Allie's dad was in hospice and she was dying for 2 years, and maybe she wasn't like thinking about ways to turn you on, and like maybe just want to give her a break. She's also helping raise the kids that you guys have. What the fuck? And my mom was like, oh my God, I know someone just like that.
And retiring. And
going through retirement. I don't know how you're going to possibly edit this down into a social clip, but I feel like I believe in you. There's so much to unpack.
There's so much to unpack. And I do wish that they had the ability to be cuter, but they just don't.
And what I would say is this is definitely like split from like the lesbian community and the completely straight community. Because if you talk to straight people, they're like, oh yeah, like Ashlyn Harris and like Sophia Bush. Cool. And lesbians are like, oh yeah, we fucking hate her. We ride at midnight. We storm. It's like, yo, whoa, okay, like, whoa.
She was
every
disowned.
Single one. Yeah.
She was disowned. She was disinvited from Pride. That's for sure.
And if you even mention anything to a lesbian, anything positive about Ashlyn, they are ready to block you.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, you got to be really careful about that. And out in the rainbow streets, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't be like, Ashlyn.
Yeah. Which is kind of interesting because there are some very prominent lesbian voices that are big fans of Ashlyn on social media, and I'm like, oh, you with Ashlyn? It's really like, oh,
there's a lot. And
Ari
people
Chambers?
I like.
Yeah, Ari Chambers. You with Ashlyn? I didn't know.
People that I like and respect. So I'm like,
Exactly.
sure, but I mean, while I don't have the information, I still have to be Team Allie.
I know. Hopefully Allie's not the villain in the story and we find out like 10 years down the road. I'm just saying, if we don't know the whole story and we're riding for Team Allie no matter what, Allie, don't let us down.
No, it's that we were rooting for you.
Hey, we're rooting for you. Do not let us down.
Do not let us down.
Anyhow. NBA training camp opens, but
wait, you got to tell me about this whole draft drama.
Yeah, oh yeah, so Rakia, I don't know, do you know anything about Rakia?
I mean, I know that she plays for the Sparks.
Yeah, Rakia Jackson. She's
gorgeous.
Awesome. Yeah, she's awesome. She's gorgeous. So she played at Tennessee and Mississippi State. And so she got spotted with her boyfriend when James Pierce, when he ended up getting selected by the Atlanta Falcons. And people were like, is that Rakia Jackson right there? And even Rakia posted online, and she was like, he went to Tennessee as well, so they met when she was at Tennessee. And she was like, oh, it looks like I have a doppelganger. And it's like, no, that's you, Rakia. So everybody is calling it, like, they're basically saying she pulled an Asia Wilson, and her and Bam. So I don't know if you remember, but
I don't know anything about this.
So Asia Wilson is dating a Miami Heat NBA player, Bam Adebayo.
To be clear, I know who Asia is. I don't know who Bam is.
You don't know Bam is. Obviously, you don't follow the NBA. So anyway,
No.
Asia Wilson and Bam Adebayo have been spotted out a lot. People have taken photos of them. And they're like, are they just friends? Or like, what's going on? And then they went out over to Paris together for the Olympics because they're both Olympians. And at that point, I think they had been together probably, or at least been thought to be together for a while. And then when Bam came back, or they both came back to the United States, the mayor of Miami gave Bam a key to the city. And when Bam showed up for that press conference, Asia Wilson was there in the stands. And the mayor's like, Asia Wilson, you're with your man. Like, and people are like, did Miami Mayor just hard launched this couple. I don't think they're out yet.
He outed them.
Yeah, she outed them. And then Asia Wilson had her jersey retired, and at that ceremony, Bam was there. And then when Asia's shoes got released, when she had the Asia ones came out, Bam was wearing them in the pink colorway. So they're out together. And even during the Dwayne Wade, who's another NBA player you may not know, Dwayne Wade, who's a former Miami Heat player, when he got a statue built of him, Asia Wilson, there's this famous meme that went around where Asia Wilson was like, had her hand over her mouth, and she was basically like, ooh, that Dwayne Wade statue is fugly.
I remember seeing that, yeah.
Yeah, so they're a celebrity couple. That I don't think they met in college, though, because Bam went to Kentucky and Asia went to South Carolina. I think they just met in the
world where
in the
sports
world.
people know each other because everyone knows each other.
So anyway, exciting stuff. The Sparks should be a fun team. Rakia's got to get back to business now that training camp is opened. Kelsey Plum is already saying, hey, this Sparks team was trash. I know we've got some work to do. That's the reason that I'm here. And I was like, ooh, baby.
Ooh.
That's some words.
That's some words.
And we have a lot of new coaches that are taking over these WNBA teams. A lot. I forget how many new coaches have come in, but it's over half the league. And so it's going to be exciting to see how these new coaches take over the teams, how they install new offenses, make teams more exciting. The Fever, for one, obviously. You probably want to keep your eye out because Stephanie White is there, who's a former Fever player, now the head coach. She was the Connecticut Sun head coach. And Caitlin Clark is already saying that she feels rested and ready to go. So that's your WNBA training camp, specific training camp news.
So WNBA training camp, what have you seen out of it so far that you're liking? I mean, I saw some playful jabs between Dejanay and Paige going around.
Just the Paige experience is going to be awesome. She's super likable. I think when she had her press conference, too, they were asking her questions, and then they finished up, and she was like, that's it? That's all you guys got? And I think she realizes now that it's a totally different beast than UConn. She was probably held there for an hour. So her and Dejanay are going to be awesome. Like I said, Caitlin Clark says that she's been basically in the Fever facility since the season ended, and she's been resting and recovering, but also working out with her teammates. So I think we're headed for some very special Caitlin Clark-like stuff with a bunch of new teammates that should be really fun to watch as well. And then I think what was also interesting was that the Chicago Sky had a preseason sort of scrimmage game, and then they couldn't play it on the WNBA, couldn't figure out how to distribute it. So we all had to just watch it on social media because the W has a hard time figuring out how to get their product to people for some unknown reason.
But they just announced right before we recorded this that all preseason games are going to be televised.
I hope so. Get it together. Get it together. And then on top of that, here's another crazy story in terms of the WNBA training camp. Maybe this is just like an entire headline show because we're just going through it. Chennedy Carter, who was actually a top 15 guard in the league last year, she's not going to play in the WNBA, which we kind of knew. WNBA fans knew. She's going to Mexico, to the best league in Mexico, Adelitas de Chihuahua.
I want a Chihuahua. I really want a Chihuahua, just FYI.
Which, by the way, Chihuahua is known for their cheese. Yeah, it's true. Look it up.
I thought they were known for their dogs.
That's just a breed of dog. But Chihuahua cheese. Mexican Liga Nacional del Baloncesto.
All right, but I want to hear more about Chennedy Carter. Why she's not...
Why is she not playing? I think the rap on Chennedy is that she's a tough teammate to have, a tough player to deal with, somebody that I don't want to call her a cancer in the locker room, but that was kind of the vibe that we've seen. She's threatened to fight her own teammates. She's been suspended from multiple teams. She's been released from teams that needed her offense, like the Atlanta Dream. The Atlanta Dream's not a good team, and they were like, we'd rather have no guard than Chennedy Carter. So we'll do a deep dive on her very soon, but I think really it's off the court issues, but really personality issues that she has that's keeping her really out of the W altogether. If she had the personality of Paige Beckers, she'd be starting guard.
Well, this would be a different story. Yeah.
I mean, like exact same game as Chennedy Carter has, but with the personality of Dejanay or Paige or Lexi Hole or whatever. Anybody but Chennedy Carter, she'd be in the league right now.
There's just not enough roster spots to have someone like her in the locker room.
She's 100% better than Hailey Van Lith. Like she is, and Hailey Van Lith is playing for her former team. She would run circles around Hailey Van Lith. And I like Hailey Van Lith. But that's kind of what we're talking about. If she was Hailey Van Lith in terms of personality, she would be playing for the Chicago Sky still.
How bad of a personality do you have to be that good and get blackballed?
Pretty bad. I mean, I think when she's talking about putting hands on teammates, she's coming after the queen and Caitlin Clark saying, all she does is shoot deep threes. I think that's a problem. I think like the physicality that she had was just one little element of the issue. But really we see all this stuff happening on the court that's borderline. And we know you've also threatened to fight your own teammates before. So much so that you've been kicked off of the team and suspended off of multiple teams. Do we really need all this? We don't need all this. This is just kind of ripping our team to shreds. And I think that was what you saw why Teresa Witherspoon got fired from the Sky and why Chennedy Carter was out of there. Why you saw Kalia Copper asked to be traded, who's a top guard in the league, who was playing for the Chicago Sky when they won their championship. Why she wanted out of there. Why Courtney Williams, another guard, didn't want to play there. Chennedy Carter, from what I hear, has been kind of the common denominator of that. So I think you have to be really bad. I don't think Chennedy Carter would ever play for Unrivaled. I don't think they'd ever allow her to play there. She would be good enough to play.
I feel like if you're not one of the honorary invitees and you're a veteran in the league, you're probably never going to be.
Yeah.
I would say,
so,
if I had to guess. So speaking of teammates and vibes and how, I mean, we now know officially that Malaysia Fulwiley is going to LSU. What are your thoughts on LSU now that we know that that's the roster?
I think it's going to be electric. I think that's probably the word that I would use the most is that Flau'jae and Malaysia together are going to be fireworks. That's what you're going to see. But I think the thing that's very fascinating to me, as someone who has seen Kim Mulkey up close, is when Kim Mulkey sees her players making dumb mistakes, she loses her fucking mind. She's like waving them off. She's turning their back to them. She's screaming at them. She's grabbing her own neck. She's, hitting herself in the chest. She's doing all kinds of crazy things.
She's mulkeying.
Yeah, she's full melting down. And that happened when LSU was playing UCLA in the Elite Eight. So I was like, okay, what is this going to be when Malaysia turns the ball over 4 times in a row? Or she doesn't run the offense the way that Kim Mulkey wants. Or she just goes and pulls up from deep three 7 straight times, and you've gone 7 straight possessions without scoring a bucket because Malaysia's on a heat check. I think it's going to be an adjustment period for Malaysia. And we also know that Kim Mulkey is not afraid, even for superstars, to sit you down and not play you for multiple games if you're not falling in line with what she wants you to do. And she did that with Angel Reese in Angels last year at LSU, and we all wondered what was going on. There was all kinds of rumors flying about, and we never really found out what the story was, but we know that this is something Kim Mulkey will do. So as I'm excited, I think Flau'jae coming back is great. I think Malaysia going to this team could be great, and I think Kim Mulkey can sort of whip them into a WNBA shape, but I think get them in a place where maybe what Dawn Staley was doing, which is more subdued, and that kind of coaching was not working for Malaysia. Now Kim Mulkey is more of an alpha pit bull, and maybe Malaysia responds more to the stick than to the carrot.
That was going to be my question, was does this actually maybe benefit her draft stock now that she's got someone who could theoretically kind of, like you said, whip her into shape a little more than Dawn probably would?
But I also think that Malaysia has to be very careful because LSU has the #1 overall recruiting class, and most of the players that are coming in are guards. So Bella Hines I saw up close. Bella Hines was the one that you saw. I don't know if you saw this, but she was on YouTube cooking some YouTuber one-on-one, and then she did the V with the blah, blah, blah.
Oh, did she? No, I didn't see that.
That was... Yeah, she did. I
love that for her. Yeah.
Just wanted to let everyone know where she was at. She didn't need to put the rings on her fingers.
She didn't need to put the thumb ring on.
No, she didn't need to put the thumb ring on or like.
She wanted to make it clear that she is not Hannah Hidalgo.
Yeah. So Bella Hines is a hooper. I saw her at the Hoop Summit a few weeks ago, and she's awesome. She pops off the page. She's a Jordan Brand athlete. She has handles. She has mid-range shots. She can shoot from deep. She can do everything. And then Grace Knox also played in that too. Grace Knox can dunk. She's like a 6'1" guard who can actually get up and yam on you. So I actually like those two players. The Kaya Johnson, she's there too. Divine Barrage, she's there. These are a bunch of players that will challenge Floje and Malaysia for playing time. So I'm excited to see how this goes. LSU is going to be definitely a must-watch team throughout the entire season.
LSU is losing a big star, not on the basketball court, but
Ooh, good segue.
on the line. Thanks. Did
That
you
was
like
really
that?
good. I did.
Thanks.
So who's the star?
So they're losing some star power, not necessarily in the basketball court space, but in the NIL space. Livvy Dunne announced her retirement from gymnastics this week, which, I mean, I don't think was like, that's not a surprise. Like, we all knew Livvy Dunne was done with gymnastics. She's exercised her 5 years of college, and there's no professional gymnastics league, to go to next. But I think
Basically, you only compete in the Olympics or try to get to the Olympics, or you just don't.
yeah, I mean, unless you're Simone Biles, college is
that's what
kind
she
of
was
where,
doing.
yeah,
That's what she was doing. She just was a pro Olympic gymnastics athlete. There's no like,
Correct.
hey, on Saturdays we go to the mat and we just like compete against one another.
yeah. There's no mat brawls, just every weekend. But I think the biggest thing, my takeaway from this, I did a little bit of a deep dive on Livvy Dunne. It was kind of like a shallow dive, but a deepish dive on Livvy Dunne's impact on college sports. And I think that Livvy Dunne has not gotten proper praise for her impact on women's sports, college sports, all of sports.
I think there was an article in Yahoo where this guy was basically saying that the only reason anybody knows Livvy Dunne is because she's pretty and has a TikTok account and is in good shape, which is sort of redonkulous because there's plenty of people who are pretty and are in good shape and have a pretty face that have TikTok accounts in college, and none of them have surpassed or even come close to what Livvy Dunne has done online. She just figured out a way to connect with an audience for something that was really organic to her, which is kind of like you and your story as someone who was in the equestrian space and had to be homeschooled because you were an elite athlete, is that you don't have a lot of friends. You're not around a lot of kids your own age. And she created this TikTok account to sort of find community. And just like some of these other influencers have done, like those twins, I forget their names. Do you know who I'm talking about? They've got the Duncan. They got like a little endorsement with Duncan. They're like the original. They're like the original TikTokers.
Oh, I don't think they're twins.
Well, they're sisters. Are they not sisters?
Don't they have like a TV show?
I don't think they have a TV.
Yeah, they do. Are we talking about the same?
The D'Amelios.
Yeah, they have a
shows?
TV show. Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, so like the D'Amelios did, they found their way. Anyway, what a segue. What a random side road. You can cut this part. But anyway, so Livvy Dunne found her way to a large audience because other high schoolers and other college students wanted to have the same thing, and she was engaging. And then she turned that audience into a huge payday.
A fan base. And she turned it into a fan base. And I think that that's what's missing from a lot of people's minds is Livvy Dunne was still an athlete and she was still a competitive, successful athlete. I mean, yes, there were years of school that she missed. She had a lot of injuries. She had a knee injury that really took her out of her final year. But she was an All-American her freshman season. And I think a lot of people don't ever really give her the credit for what she did on the mat. She has a national title. You can't take that away from her. She was still part of a national championship winning team. She was still an All-American. She was still very successful. She got a scholarship to one of the best teams in the program in the country for a reason.
Yeah, and I think there's probably the fan base didn't really care that much about what she did on the mat or on the uneven bars or wherever she was competing. And that's what I think people don't understand when they take into account NIL. They want to make it like you have to be successful in your sport. I mean, and she was successful, but they want you to be perfect. They want you to be Tiger Woods. They want you to be transformational. They want you to be Caitlin Clark. Not every athlete's going to be that. But what I would say is how she transformed NIL is that now that the NIL ruling has come down and athletes can benefit and get money from endorsements of their name, image, and likeness, you do not have to be the top athlete in your sport in order to do that. You can just find a way to find an audience, and that audience will turn into a payday and will be self-sustaining even though you can't go pro. So I think that's why that's such a huge impact, is that yes, Reggie Bush, the player who played for USC in college football, who lost his Heisman because he was essentially benefiting from his name, image, and likeness. Yeah, he was always going to be that. But you're talking about a smaller sport in the women's game, and this woman's probably a top 3 and maybe not 3 paid athlete in college.
Another thing is this whole court case that's going on right now, this lawsuit with the NCAA, NIL. So basically, to really dumb it down, the NCAA has said that a handful of athletes are trying to get back pay from the NCAA for money that they feel that they've missed out on, that was miscalculated for them in the past due to overlooking certain aspects, things like that, et cetera, et cetera. So they offer this $2.8 million settlement.
Billion.
And Livvy Dunne reads it and goes, I'm worth more than this, and women are worth
and
more than
not
this.
2.8 billion. She's not saying she's worth more than 2.8 billion.
Whatever portion
whatever
it was.
the cut that they're going to give to every athlete that
Correct, yeah.
met this criteria. No matter what sport that they were in, no matter what school that they went to, if they're falling under this umbrella, everyone is going to get the same, even though Livy is not the same.
And her point not only to that was part of this bill also that's not really being talked about as much is it's going to set up a revenue sharing stream for athletes across sports as it's supposed to. And I guess there's some language in there that undercuts the value of women's athletes specifically because it's based on sponsorship, it's based on television rights deals, it's based on, ticket price sales, things that are going to benefit.
I think it overall mostly took the money and gave it to basketball and football. And then they gave a much smaller percentage of that $2.8 billion was going to go to women's sports. And so Livy obviously saw that and was like, that's...
But it's also looking towards the future because it's looking at a revenue sharing model for the future. And she's saying this is undercutting what women in the future are going to have because you're putting more emphasis on football and basketball, men's basketball, than you are on the growing sports of gymnastics, softball, soccer, all of those things that are in the women's space that are growing year over year. So I give Livvy Dunne a lot of credit for fighting the good fight for women in a way that she's not getting recognition for.
So shout out to Livvy Dunne. We give her flowers.
Yeah, we do. We give her her flowers.
It was a hell of a career, Livvy. I wish you would have stayed healthy, but what you did is a lot more impactful than just on the uneven bars.
I agree. Let's move on.
Uneven. You know what was uneven?
You know what was uneven?
A little up and down.
Let's talk about my favorite sport. The sport that gets the littlest attention of any of them.
The sport that's just so improperly managed. The sport that should be bigger. The sport that has big purses now and somehow nobody gives any sort of care or concern for the future of that sport. So the LPGA had a major. I don't know if you knew that. LPGA had a major. I mean, you did, but I don't know if the people listening
The people out there, no, probably not. Because unless...
The LPGA last weekend had a major called the Chevron.
NBC did not promote it. I mean, I'm sure they did at some point in some place, but it wasn't online. And it wasn't.
We didn't even know. Honestly, we were talking about like what's happening, where we're looking at something golf-wise, and we're like, hey, not only is there a major this weekend, but Lexi Thompson is playing?
That, to me, was, with my whole chest, said, Lexi Thompson is not playing in this major.
Yeah, you were like, no, she's not.
I was so sure of that.
She's retired.
She retired. I watched her retire. I remember the drama about her retiring. I mean, there was a lot to it. I mean, there was golf drama. It was drama in the golf world. I mean, but regardless, I knew that Lexi Thompson no longer was playing on the LPGA tour, and then I saw Lexi Thompson
tee time at 11:30.
At 11:30, and I went, well, let me go fact check this. So I went to the LPGA social media pages, and you want to know how much there was about it? Nothing.
Not a goddamn thing until she was in contention.
And I want to get back to Lexi in a second, but we just have to talk about the overall shit show that was this tournament's finish, because Lexi was not in contention towards the end, which was a bummer, but there were 5 players that ended up in a playoff of this. And probably what I would argue was maybe the biggest whiff, if you want to say.
Literally.
Literal whiff, 72nd hole whiff that I've ever seen in women's golf.
At one point, Arya Jutanagard was 10 under.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the fact that she had one of the worst last holes of all time. It was also, in fact, she just kept melting down over the course of the round. So she just needed to make par in order to win the tournament, and she chunked it with her wedge and missed the putt.
I would think we were talking at some point on Sunday, and you said, is this final round going to be worth me watching? And I said, no, because the lead right now is like 2 or 3 shots. And
yeah, it was her. It was Aria was like 3 shots in hit. Yeah.
It was like a 3-shot lead. And I was like, and typically once a player gets on the back 9 in the LPGA with a 3-shot lead.
And they're on a heater.
It's not really going to change. I mean, they are lasered into the greens.
I said, the reason I like the PGA Tour is I love to see meltdowns. I love the unpredictability. I love seeing Jordan and Spieth put 2 in the water, and you're like, oh man, what's this about to be? The pressure mounts. And because women are so accurate with their drivers, with their irons, just in general, women are very accurate ball strikers when they're on tour. I mean, even amateur women just don't have nearly the amount of power or recklessness that men normally do. And so when you are dialed, it is like fucking lasers. I've never seen a woman pro whiff a chip.
Yeah, let's talk about what she did. The 18th hole at the Woodlands in Texas. So I've been to this course. This is the first year that I actually have not been on the grounds for the final round. Okay. I don't have to have that reaction to it. The final hole is a par 5 over the water into the final green. And it's super narrow on the backside. And you've got maybe like 6 feet of rough, of like pretty thick, nasty rough on the back end before you get to the grandstands. It's a really narrow little gap. So she goes for the pin. She's got a 1-shot lead on the 18th hole, which is, I think, kind of the most mind-boggling decision that she made. She has a 1-shot lead going into 18. And she's worried at this point, like what the players behind her are going to do. But she goes to the final hole and goes for 2. She goes to the green in 2, gets on the back, goes to chip it. But as she's going to chip it, she's trying to stub the ground just to, I guess, test the...
But she hit the volunteer.
On her approach.
Yes.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, I don't know why she went for the green in 2. She had a 1-shot lead. That's what I was saying.
Got it.
I don't know why she didn't go to lay up and try to get a birdie with the layup. I mean, that doesn't really, again, she has a 1-shot lead. It's not a
Maybe she just thought, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna fly this water anyway. The worst I can do is a par. The worst.
Tough chip coming back down the hill though that they have. So I mean, I'm also not a professional golfer, so I don't have the touch around the greens that they do. But so she goes to hit, she goes to chip down the hill, totally whiffs it. Like the ball pops up. I think that she thought that she was clear of it and somehow just like, I don't even think she meant to hit the ball there. I think.
Oh, no, I think she did. I think she did. That was not a practice swing.
I think it was a practice swing.
I do not think so.
You don't think so?
I think she meant to hit
You think that was a legit hit?
Yeah, I do. I think that the rough was thicker than she anticipated, and she just stubbed it. She just stubbed
She stubbed it. And it was, I mean, it went right back in.
It barely even moved. It just kind of like...
It just like popped up and then came back in. And then that was it.
You can see that on any municipal course on any given weekend.
You could see me do that anytime I play golf. That's a
it was
shot I would hit.
It was incredible. And then what was also insane was that Mao Saigo and Livvy Dunne were trying to get there. They were on the last hole as well. And then one of their playing partners ends up taking so long to go over and see what she was going to do, to like confer with her caddy and figure it all out, Ryu. And she was like, okay, should we take an extra club? Should we not? Nukes one over the green and just ices these other 2 players out that end up somehow still getting into the playoff. Do you know how mad I would be?
Probably
if I was
pretty mad.
In contention, and this other player that's not in contention is icing me?
Probably pretty mad.
I'm like, bitch, can you guys get it together and just figure it out? Come on. Anyway, I thought that was really interesting. And then on top of that, it was really sad because also Nelly Korda played pretty poorly, who is kind of the darling.
Yeah, she did. Well, I will say this. I checked the scores. I didn't watch not Monday, Tuesday. I didn't watch Thursday, Friday. But I was checking the scores. And at one point during the Thursday round, I checked the score and I saw Nelly Korda was like 114th. And I was like,
They shot 77.
yeah, she played terribly on Thursday. I thought she was gone. I thought she was done, out of it. I didn't think that she had even a prayer of making the cut at that point. But then comes out and shoots a 68 in the second round, makes the cut. And then at one point on Saturday, I look up and she's like 4 under. I mean, she wasn't ever sniffing a win, but I was surprised to see that she at least fought her way back to play the weekend because I didn't expect it.
Yeah, so shot a 68 in the second round as well. But I think just in general, there was not enough promotion, not enough marketing.
Finding the tournament was a nightmare. The leaders teed off at noon, and you couldn't watch them until 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
I forgot to mention also, Ronnie Yin probably should have won that tournament too.
Oh, yeah, let's go back to that because...
Yeah.
So Ronnie Yin won the KPMG a couple years ago, right? That was 2020 on the KPMG. She's a fantastic golfer. The shot that she hit, that second shot she hit on 18 was probably one of the best shots I've seen all year. I mean, that was, if not the best. I mean, that was equivalent, like, you're talking about, like, the shot that defines a round. Had she made that putt on 18 to win, that's better than Rory's shot on 15 at the Masters when he won. That's better.
Yeah.
I mean, that is that type of shot. She's got like 5 feet for eagle coming back down the hill.
12-footer.
12-footer. And she missed it.
Still not an easy putt, but it wasn't that she needed to make eagle.
She needed a 2-putt. She needed to 2-putt. Yeah.
Yeah.
She only needed to 2-putt and she 3-putted, which
there was a lot of people who thought that Ronnie Yin was going to win that tournament, like right around the, Saturday night coverage. They kind of said, oh, well, she could be easily the one that wins this whole thing. So just a tough scene for a few women's golfers that sort of melted down. And I was listening to the Golf Channel or golf.com coverage, and they said that Saigo didn't win. She just was the only one to come out alive in the carnage.
Yeah, I mean, she made kind of not an easy birdie on that hole, but you had 5 players, and she's the only one that birdied a par 5 on the playoff to win, which you don't expect only 1 out of 5 to birdie that hole. That's a birdie or eagle hole. It's not a par bogey hole. So that was shocking to me. But this is now the second time at this event, this location, not this event, second time at this location that it's gone into a playoff with a really heartbreaking ending on 18. I mean, guess we're going to keep getting it here at the Woodlands now that it's there all the time.
And before we move on, because I know we almost got to get up out of here, I just want to say for everyone on wax, Jack Nicklaus is not a good golf course designer.
Ooh, hot take. No, he's
just
not.
not. He's not. Everything he does is always very tricked out. Narrow here, random pop bunker there, random water here, waterfall there, rock formation here. And it's like, what are we doing? Okay.
There's a lot of... Oh, I have to tell you a funny story about this golf course.
Oh, yeah, you told me that you were going to tell me.
Yeah,
so you almost didn't.
You started to say it when you texted me, and I said, what was the par of this course? Because I couldn't remember. And you said it's a 7,000-yard course. That's massive. Very back of the course. Hold on, I got to count. Let's say 18, 17, 16. So on 15, there's a big water feature on 15, like a waterfall little thing going on.
Yeah,
so I was out. I was
Nicklausy.
Something Nicklausy. So I'm out there and I'm on a golf cart and like getting B-roll, and all of a sudden I hear this like crack, and then I hear the horn, and I'm like, shit. And everyone starts going back in, and it's like crazy, crazy, crazy. And I'm like, oh,
they thought it was thunder and lightning?
Thought it was thunder and lightning. So everyone is running back in. It's final round. And I'm like out there trying to get a shot of this like water feature, because that's what I think I need to be doing at that moment. And I go back to get in the golf cart. Golf cart's dead. Golf cart just dies. And I'm all the way back at the very end, at the end of this golf course. And it's just me and the non-working golf cart and nobody else, because everyone else is running inside for this rain. And I get stuck out there.
How long were you out there for?
Like 30 minutes. I had to like go hide next to it. Yeah, I was like, hey, somebody help me. I'm stuck. on 15, could somebody please come pick me up? And they were like, yeah, we're going to send someone out, but like, we can't go out right now because of the weather. So like, you're going to have to like hang in for a second. So I'm like hiding behind a porta potty in the very back in the woods, just like trying to stay alive. And that was my last experience at Chevron. I think our bottom line takeaway from the LPGA here is like, we need to see it more on TV. I think you even noted like, this is kind of how the WNBA used to be. And now we're getting WNBA, you know, we may as well be in these training camps right now. We are getting so much content coming in.
Yeah. And I think it's like, I remember in 2020, 2021 that I would be like, when are these games on? And I'm like, right now? There's a game on where? Where can I find it? It's like, are there betting lines? It's like, nope, it's 2 hours before the game. It's like, no betting lines. I remember in the Wubble, in whatever, 2020, yeah, the women's bubble, Brittany Griner just left out of nowhere. And nobody knew why. And nobody knew if she was injured or if there was something else going on. I was just like, oh yeah, she's not playing today. And it's like, well, is she not playing at all? Because I think she had to leave the bubble. And then they never gave any info. And so I was like, okay. And that's kind of what I think is happening with the LPGA Tour, where it's like, it just kind of happens. And nobody's telling you about it in advance. And nobody's telling you where it is or when you can access it. No one's giving you any stories in real time. I'm seeing nothing on social media until the thing is already over. And it's like, okay, well, I would have been loving to know that there was a straight meltdown happening with, say your last name again?
Aria Jutanugarn.
Jutanugarn. I wish I could be like,
There's
Aria
no D in there.
Jutanugarn. I'm not saying a D.
Oh, I thought I heard a D.
I'm not saying a D. Anyway, I would have liked to be like, melt alert. Hey, this girl's melting down right now. Hey, like, you should tune in on Peacock or on NBC. Hey, it's on. Like, hey, we're on. Hey, or we're coming on. Like, it will be on Thursday.
Or like, hey, we have golf in general. Because I'm going to tell you, not easy to find.
Yeah, and also, you know what really will help it too is if these betting sites put this on their front page, or these score sites like ESPN show that there's a women's tournament. You cannot get to the LPGA until you go to the other tab and then scroll all the way down and look for women's and then look for LPGA. That's too much work for me. If it's too much work for me, it's too much work for anyone.
It's too much work for anybody, and I think they need to take a page out of the Paige Beckers out of the WNBA and start getting their girls. Start putting Nelly Korda on every screen you possibly can, because there's no excuse for it at this point.
And if you want the sport to grow, then invest in the promotion. And we see what happened and everybody said that about the WNBA. And there was a lot of people who said, well, nobody cares about it. And it's like, well, why don't we see? If we promote it, let's see how many people care. And there's a lot of people who care. And I think that could be the case for golf. Definitely. And we won't know either way what the appetite is for women's golf on a large scale until the resources are put into promoting it and promoting the stars within.
You can't order it if it's not on the menu.
Can't order it, it's not on the menu. Anyway, awesome episode. Good stuff. We hit everything. We hit golf. We hit women's college hoops. We hit the WNBA. We hit the NWSL. We hit the Champions League. I mean, we really gave you a little bit of bite size of everything, a little amuse-bouche. Next week, we'll dive more in. Amuse-bouche, yep. And we'll dive more into the WNBA. Cuts are coming. It's the cut date. The cup date.
It's the cut date. The cut line. The cut line.
The cut will be coming. We will give more information about that. There'll be more news stories. Hopefully we get some insight on what's happening with Chennedy. But thank y'all.
Yeah, if we get any sort of update about that anytime soon. But we'll see.
Yeah, thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for watching. Sponsored by NRA.
No.
Still don't try to make fetch happen.
Let her shoot.
Let her shoot responsibly.
However she feels like.
Yeah, let her shoot skeet. Let her shoot golf balls.
No, again.
Let her shoot.
Not that.
Okay.
Just let her shoot.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for. Let her shoot. Do you put music on the tail?